Hi, we're live. Hi, Janine.
Hi, Debbie.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing really well. Excited to talk about really about spirits tonight.
Yeah, welcome everyone to SD Spooky Adventures, where we talk about everything paranormal. Tonight, we are going to talk about spirits and the many ways that they present themselves to us.
I know I've got kind of a spooky story. It happens sometimes, and I know that when people look into certain objects, they think that your brain changes and says you can see something. Well, I did see something, and it had to be a spirit. And so I want to tell you guys, and please share the show, you guys. I see some people are live watching us, but I lived kind of in a rural area, and I was putting my son to bed in his room one day when on the closet door, I saw a man. He looked a little bit like W.C. Fields or Churchill, that type of look. And I go, blink, 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 and I go, why is there a man on the closet door? And I just say, don't worry about it, Debbie, don't worry about it. I'm just dismissed it. And so more and more, whenever I walked in, that man was there. And I was like, oh my gosh, who is this? Now, I didn't feel Janine like it was evil or anything. You know how we'll go get it out of here, type of thing. I didn't know because I'm like, could that be a spirit guide? Could that be an ancestor? But it presented, I mean, as big as life, as clear as anything, like a photograph on that closet door, which had never been, as long as we lived in a house, had never been there. And then I decided it got to me because every time I walked by, whenever I could see this man. And so I said, even though I don't feel like it's evil or anything like that, certainly kind of don't want him that close to my son. And,
Mm.
he was very little at the time. And so I actually had my husband take that closet door off the track and take it out of the house and dispose of it. I go at some point, I'll order another door, but I didn't, I just didn't want him right there. I didn't want him in the house. And we have a problem with that sometimes, don't we, Janine? When the
Definitely.
spirits come in one way or another and they are there. So I don't think it was something imprinted, but I think that something came in and kind of meshed right there to just kind of watch. But it was eerie. And so I wanted to talk tonight. I was talking this over with you. There's so many ways when we started thinking about it about how spirits can present themselves. And sometimes you can't see them, right, Janine?
Very true. We have what I call scratch and sniff ghosts, where literally it's a scent that enters the room or the area that lets you know that something's there.
And a lot of times, especially when we're doing investigations, is the temperature. And I don't know how cold it gets. Maybe that varies. What's your experience with how cold it will get?
Well, I've actually experienced all the way from freezing cold, like I'm out in the snow, to warmth, like the heater's on. So it kind of varies in between that whole range of hot to cold in my experience.
I get the cold spots, but when I get hot is when I'm doing readings. Oh my goodness,
Mm.
because I have one of those fans, in my desk drawer because it's like just like you said, the furnace is on and things are getting hot, and I am going like this, and I want to put the ceiling fan on everything else, but that's that energy. So I think maybe it's the same thing. It's spirits have energy, and sometimes we're going to the cold. I think that when we are, or when I'm usually in a building that has a spirit in that room or whatever, we get the cold spot. And that's probably what's most, what I experience. And which is really cool because you can actually kind of feel them and know where they're at. For me, remember we were in the 10th Avenue Theater in the preacher's room, the
Comes
minister's
off as
room.
well.
And so I caught on to some energy and then I was following it around, down the wall over to the door and then poof, I went through the door. And I'm like, oh, darn. So I think that is a way that they come in with energy or with the temperature. Um, and also, we can see them. So I
Yep.
had the ectoplasm, the hag. The hag came in ectoplasm because you could tell it was stringy and white and you could see through it and she formed from it. And then when she finally went away, she poof took off with in that ectoplasm. So Janine, you do see the ghost solid because we can look at them solid. Hi, Chris. Chris, be on the show with us. What the heck? You're the
I
expert
know. Come
here.
on, Chris. We need you on here.
Yeah. Um, so Janine, so do you see them usually like misty, like ectoplasm?
I see them all different ways, just kind of depending on how strong the spirit is. Sometimes they're just as solid as a regular person, but you get that hair standing on and chilled kind of sensation when they're around. Sometimes they're see-through if they're not strong enough to fully manifest, but I've seen ectoplasm, smoke, balls of light, all sorts of different things when spirits are around.
The one thing I can envision and see them, but like my sister, when her best friend died, when she looked out the window and she saw her best friend crossing the street, like she always did all the time, she was solid. And
Yeah.
I have a lot of people in my family, they see them, they're solid. And I'm like, oh, I don't really see them like a solid, and I can't tell if you're a ghost or a real person. And when I see them, they're ethereal, And sometimes when I'm doing psychometry, they come in as a picture, and then I can see exactly what they look like. But another way that they come in through their voice, disembodied, but as clear as a bell sometimes. And I love that. Everybody's saying hi. Hi, Carlos. Hi, Chris. Please share the show. Let me think of what other ways they move things. So
Definitely
you
move
know that they're
things.
there.
They can definitely just give you like a sensation, like a feeling. So you don't necessarily see them or hear them, but you feel that there's something there with you.
Right. Oh, definitely. They'll come and touch, and they touch me here when they push a little, when I'm going to do a reading and a spirit comes in that's connected to the person, then they will let me know they're there. But funny thing, sometimes they are on their own agenda. When I'm looking at a person's questions or I'm looking at something specific and they're going, well, we want you to tell that person this or that or whether, I'm like, hold on, they want to know this out and I'm working on that. So sometimes I go a little bit, thank you for being here, but I'm doing the reading.
Yeah, it's hard too because I always give a disclaimer if somebody wants to like reach out to somebody or have a specific thing answered. Sometimes spirit finds something more of a priority and they push that agenda,
Oh yeah.
and I'm gonna give them whatever's given to me if it's something that needs to be said. So like always kind of put that disclaimer on my readings.
Well, we have to talk about when I get so many that I have to give them a caution about something happening. And a lot of times somebody's going to steal from them. And I tell them, heads up, watch what around this time period because somebody's going to steal from you. They're going to take something from you. And I see it succeeding. So you have a heads up, forewarned is forearmed. And then so many times, Janine, I get back. You were right, but I didn't do anything about
Oh man,
it.
that's always the worst. It's like,
Oh,
this
I
was so
am.
strong. I'm giving it to you and I need you to heed it. But sometimes they just kind of blow it off anyway.
Oh, yeah. I've gotten a lot of times when I do a business reading, I will get specifics like somebody's going to try to take your job or take the promotion. And then they come back and say, yeah, you're right, they are. So now I can, intercede in that. But yeah, a lot of times I just kind of go, oh, sneaky, I get sneaky. So when we are working with spirit, there's so many different ways that we can do things. So I love that we can get vibes off of object psychometry, and that's always, to me, that is the most fun. What do you think, Janine? I just love it. I love doing psychometry.
It's funny because I had never even tried the psychometry thing until we started doing spirit circles. And it is so exciting every time that I hold something and I start to get those movies or those words or those
Check that
pictures
out.
popping up.
I know, because that same with me. I get the person, and then sometimes spirit will bring me an old movie star that I know a name of, or I know what they look like, and then they form into the person. Then I can look around them, and I look at their clothing, and then I look around what's happening around them, so I can get the house, the car, what did they used to do as a hobby. One time I was like, I saw this red and I said, so I get a garden, even though you think that she's in the house cooking and she's wearing an apron, I get her out in the garden. And they said, yeah, she had prized red roses. And that was true. And so it's neat how we can form and see them. Another way we can see spirit is that little thing that flies, something that goes quick in the corner of our eyes, right, Janine? We go,
Definitely.
oh, there they go. And it's funny. Why do you think that they are just, going so fast?
Well, like on the other side, they definitely move at a different pace than we do. Their vibration is much, much higher. That's why sometimes when we hear a spirit talking, it's so quick that you have to kind of slow down the EVP to be able to actually understand it. So I think that they're just moving at that pace. So when they come in for their visitations, it's a little harder for them to slow down. And so as they're moving past us, it does look like a little blink of
Right.
something.
Mostly I get things, if I'm doing past lives, sometimes when I'm working with someone that's passed and things like that, I will just see a movie like out here or still photography or whatever. But most of the time, I get people moving and doing things and morphine and different pictures coming in and things like that. So it really is neat that we can um, communicate in so many ways where we can see them, where hear them, that they'll move things, and also the tarot and the pendulum. And oh, does anybody now? I see somebody, Sandy. Hi, Sandy Raven Feather. What a great topic. I work as a psychic medium and have lots of my own ghost stories. Well, Sandy, if you get a hold of Janine, come on our show. Janine, how can people get a hold of you if they want to tell their story with us?
Yeah, just send me an email to sdspookyadventures@gmail.com, or you can come on over to the SD Spooky Adventures page and send me a message there as well.
That'd be great. We love all those stories. And so we want to say hi, Nia and Melanie, as well as Sandy. Thank you for coming in. Please share the show. So tonight we're talking about different ways that we can communicate or see spirit. So we know that we can, like, I can put my hands into their energy and find them. And Janine, do you find that you usually they just present as a spirit and you see them right away?
Most often they do for me. Like I said, it just kind of depends on how long ago they've passed or how strong they are. Are they earthbound or have they crossed? But most often they do present as like a normal person. And I can
You
hear
know
that
when
and see them.
when they're desperate, when we're in the cemetery and they're
Oh,
desperate and
definitely.
they, oh my gosh, because there's a lot of grief there. But where when I go through Dearborn Cemetery and I do my thing there, the grief that I encounter is not the spirits, it's the people that have visited. That's why I clear that out and all of that.
Definitely,
But
because
we
that energy is kind of what brings spirits. to the cemetery. It's that mourning, that
Yeah.
loss, that
Yeah.
sadness. It's something that they can feed on to be able to manifest, because ghosts don't just hang out in a cemetery for any reason other than to, either get crossed over if they're earthbound, because often once that light shuts down after their last service, many of them don't realize that they can still cross, and so they become desperate at a certain point to be able to cross. So that energy that's brought in from another death, and the people mourning that death, draws them like a moth
Yeah.
to the flame.
Right. I remember one time that we had an empath. I don't know if you were there that night, and she was so sweet girl. She thought she could do a soul rescue. So Sandy asked, "What do we think about the idea that some spirits are lost or stuck here? If so, is it up to us to help them cross over?" Well, it's not up to everybody. This isn't something that everybody could do, as we saw with the empath. She ended up like flat out sobbing and crying, and because there was a strong spirit, and that guy was angry, and she
Mm-hmm.
thought, oh, I'm going to cross this big angry energy, to the other side. But there's a lot of things people, and Janine, I want your take on this. My thing is, when I cross someone over, I don't say go to the light or go to the door or anything like that,
No.
but I do bring forward a light energy spirit or an angel or ancestor that's enlightened to guide them out. Because so many people, I go, oh, how do you know the door that you just made a portal is the right one to go to heaven? So, what do you think about that, Janine?
So for myself, I use the same light that I would use for my protection. I kind of open it for two reasons: to protect myself in case the spirit is not really looking for help to cross over. Because it is oftentimes that we'll see if they want to cross, and some of them just do not.
No,
They don't want
yeah,
to cross
no.
over. The ones that are on the fence about it, definitely the same action as you. I will actually kind of call in loved ones or relatives from the other side to, connect with them and help them on that journey to cross over.
Sometimes I do ants and that kind of thing, and I would grab an angel, maybe an arcane
Yes.
angel. But you're right, because boy, we have people that just they don't want to go. And some that are waiting for their spouse to cross over, right? We've seen
Right.
that.
Yeah, spouse, children, somebody that was close to them, and they're just waiting to make sure they're okay. And that's when we kind of bring in, the other spirits to kind of let them know that, like, you can actually do more for your loved ones if you cross and you come back to visit than you can
Right.
if you stay here, because you just
You
don't
have
have
more
the
power.
energy.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
you
don't
have
have the
more
energy if
power.
you stay here. You have to pull that from people and batteries and items and stuff in order to be able to get across what you want to get across. So crossing, though, can be scary, especially if you were on the fence with your faith before you passed or whatever you're believing. And some people are so afraid of what faces them on the other side, and you never know, truly, did you live life the way you should have? And if you're religious and believe that there's a good side or a bad side, maybe you're afraid that you're not where you should have been to go to the good side. But I will
Yeah.
tell you from my experience speaking to spirits, there is no good side or bad side. It's all love on the other side. And so I sometimes feel like they just need to hear that from someone who's already crossed.
Um, I think my take on it, since we all have different opinions, is that they can be funneled into a dark space. So that's why we're careful. And Sandy, it's not up to every psychic to cross over. You have to want to, and you have to know how to deal with the protection. That's so important, because we've all been in situations, Janine, that are a little scary, a little bit that we've got a strong entity, things can happen. Especially I've seen it aimed at you, Janine. And uh, so we have to make sure that we know about protection and how to use it, and are confident when we're doing this, and probably have maybe been mentored a little bit in it would be good, unless you have a natural way or the knowledge is given to you from the other side. She has something else. Let me bring that up. Um, this part, Sandy, where you said you feel you're being called to help the dark souls. Okay. Then you have to make sure that you're not sucked into the other side. And you can get, their energy in you. And there's a varying, right, Janine, of the strength of the spirit. There's
Big time.
varying.
Yeah.
And we have gotten to, uh, you know, face that stuff. And luckily, I'm trained, Janine's trained, and we knew what to do. And because you've been hurt a few times, Janine, um, by stuff. And so you have to, now, if you're going to go into the dark, they have energy, they have powers, and they may have other things around them that can help. Sometimes they're in like a little group. So you have to be really careful with that. So make sure that you've done your homework and maybe that you have some kind of others people that can contribute and help and protect. I would that's my take on it. What do you think, Janine?
Well, I will say you and I both have had experiences where something that is looking for help is not on the up and up. So we've actually had some darker spirits that have said that they needed help crossing, but in reality, they were trying to pick the weak link to try to attach itself to. And so you have to
Yes.
prepare for that as well. And being trained and experienced in it definitely helps when it comes to something like that.
When I was out with a group, because we have a big meetup in San Diego, we have about 760 people in my group, Psychic Fixes. Um, we had the weakest link, and she had a cane. And so when this guy was trying to be crossed over by the empath, and the other people were walking towards, who got pushed to get knocked over? The weakest link, the lady with the cane. So we have to, protect everyone. That night, I was pulled aside and with by somebody keeping my attention over here when all this drama was going on. And so when I found out, I was there and made sure everybody was okay and saw the empath out of control, took over that. And I think others, maybe Lena, you or whoever went ahead and tried to cross that one. But some of them, oh my goodness.
But
Melanie.
that's really where you're saying that sometimes they have help because they will pull other spirits to distract the stronger of the
Yep.
group so they
Yeah.
can attack over on this side.
Oh, yeah. I know that happened. I was like not happy about it because I had a, a cute young woman, and she would come to meetups and stuff. But when we're talking about seances and spirit sight, things to be careful about, she just looked at me and said, "There's only angels," and smiled. And I'm like, why
Well,
she came out to the graveyard, I do not know. I was like, ah. And she was telling me because she felt that there was a spirit, which it was. There was a woman and she was giving directions, and the girl couldn't find her. I know she's here. So I took a minute and I tuned into that spirit and I told the girl exactly where she was. And she was near this spigot that's sticking up and all of that. And she went over and found her. But that's when I heard, oh my goodness, what the heck's happening over there?
yeah.
So just be careful, Sandy, just be careful. And because you don't want, number one, you could get hurt. Sometimes it knocks you. We have people come in voluntarily to our ghost tours that will get weak in the knees and, go down to the floor, have to be escorted out, sick, headaches, migraine right away, and things like that. So you have to go in it that way. It's a wonderful thing to cross the souls because we need to have more of them in heaven to kind of balance this stupid, crazy energy that's on the whole world's experiencing. So we need to have more people. We're going to call it heaven on the other side where it's really good to kind of balance out this kind of evil stuff going on because it is evil, the stuff that's happening right now. Melanie, you helped cross earthbound, which is really great. That's commendable. When we find someone, who we couldn't cross, that little boy Andrew, at Dearborn Cemetery. That Andrew, we leave in little cars or whatever, and that little kid wouldn't leave.
No.
I don't know why, but he would not leave. And cute little guy. I mean, I think we all discovered him. They had his tombstone over in the little place that the pagoda or whatever you said at. But it was like crazy. Um, oh my goodness, look at Sandy. I passed out a few weeks ago. Wasn't sure if it was an upload or something else. You know what? I don't need when I get a new gift in, so we'll call that or get information in. I don't get dizzy or do that. Sometimes we have to make sure physically we're okay. All right. So that's the first thing. We make sure that we drink water, we're okay. We see our physician if we need. And then if not, then we explore what happened at the time. What were you doing? What were you achieving? What did energy did you get into? Any comments, Janine?
Yeah, for myself, when I get an upload, I'm actually kind of cracked out or amped up. Like I can't sit still. When I'm feeling weak or dizzy, I haven't actually passed out, but when I'm feeling that, it's usually because I've done too much. So I'm not sure if you are connecting with the other side on a regular basis, but you definitely have to do some self-care because, I have to limit my readings to so many a day. If I overdo it, I will get very weak. And so I'm almost feeling that it might be something that you're doing with your connection that's causing the weakness. But as Debbie said, you always, always want to make sure it's not a health problem first.
Right. And I find that a lot. People used to tell me, they come to one of my meetups and they'll say, I know this is whatever, and on and on. And I have this pain in my chest. And then I say, that is not a good signal that you're getting information. That's a signal for a health issue. And what I tell people usually, because they'll say I'm okay, I say, with anxiety and your muscles tense up, I said that worrying, that anxiety, that emotion can actually work on your muscles. So, we have to make sure that we know our body, where our body can heal itself. Our body can communicate with the other side and tell you things. And so we have to find out what is it. For me, it's my abdomen. I know. Boom, I know something's going on. Let me find out. Let me see what's going on. It comes in. That's not my thought. Okay, I know that is not my thought. So I can now separate those. This is Debbie's thoughts, and these are the spirits that are coming in. Any comments on that, Janine?
So I'm very similar. I get this weird, intense sensation in my diaphragm area, and depending on how dire whatever the situation is, it will radiate down my legs. But I definitely, it's like a gut sensation that I get when something's not right.
That's what I get. It's just off, and either they give me this together. So I hear that one time that the religious group came up to my house, I heard the name of the group and got boom right in my stomach, and I knew exactly what was going on. But you could get this for anything. Whenever my youngest son would have contraband, I would I would know it. Boom, he's got some M games, right? Go right to the doorway and I say, show me. Boom, comes down. I walk right over, right over, right over, open up, boop.
There it is.
The funny thing was all I had to do was to, throw it away, and he could never say anything because he know that he had an M game. I don't know. Kids were easy. Kim says, how can you be sure that a negative entity will not follow you home when you go to haunted places? Janine?
Well, I will definitely say that things that have passed over should be passed over. So even if they're earthbound, literally you are in control. So telling them that they cannot come with you and they have to stay there is number one. And you have to be firm and believe that you have that right to tell them that and the power over that as well. But also, we do use some sage, Palo Santo. I carry obsidian and black tourmaline on me for protection. There's many ways to make sure that you go home alone at the end of the evening.
Okay, I'm going to add to that. So what I do, since I'm Wiccan, is that the obsidian or the black tourmaline, whatever you're using for protection, preset. This is for protection to keep people away from me from coming home with me, whatever you want to say. And then in the higher power that you have, in that higher power being God or whatever, you can put that in, whatever you want to say. So strong thing that this is what that stone's for. It's going to keep me safe and from anything going home. The big thing, Kim, is also to make sure that you carry a little bit of holy water. That's really good. And make sure that you clear your inside of your car before you go and when you leave. And I always protect. When we go to the cemetery, I got any kind of salt, wild rue seed. And Sean turned me onto this. It smells like chocolate, so you want to have it. But get some, mix it with that, break up some sage leaves, mix it in that. And I would do, you guys, people always tell me about salt, and I have a video that's got, I don't know, tens of thousands of people that have watched it on YouTube. Make sure you don't have to make a huge salt line. It's not good for the environment or any wildlife or domestic pets. So think bigger. A little sprinkle is fine. And as you go around your car, sprinkling that, be it just salt or, combination of whatever you want, then you say your little prayer. Protect the car. You can ask the archangels to do it, which is what I do, to make sure nothing goes in and there's no harm to your vehicle. So things that you can do. But Janine's right on. You just be firm. Nobody's going with me. Get in your car and go.
Okay.
But I do like to take those little, I call it scrabbly juice, the wild rue, sage, and salt in a little baggie, as well as holy water. You can make your own holy water. You can look online. It's so easy. Or just go to a Catholic church and bring your jug, that clean jug, and fill her up and take it. I put mine in spray bottles, little spray bottle to a great big ones I keep in the refrigerator. Never drink it. Okay, that's a no-no.
Yeah, definitely don't drink the one that you get from the churches. Definitely do not want to do that. Yeah,
Never.
I think that where it really comes into is kind of pre-gaming ahead of time. So like you said, with your little mixture, we would do like a small little bit. And like you said, less is more, but around the car to pre-protect it before we went out. We always protect ourselves before we even get started, and then finishing it off with that. Okay, communication is done. We're going to be moving on now. You're going to stay here. You cannot come with us.
Nobody can come with us. Sandy, so you were getting detailed insights about someone's medical condition and passed out. To me, that means that it was the process of you connecting and getting that information that probably had you do that. Just, I'm not a physician, but I'm just saying it looks like that's probably what happened.
Yeah, I would say if it continues, definitely see a doctor just to rule anything out. But I do know that, connecting with the other side takes some, getting used to, and it can weaken you in those moments. But
So,
just I said, be on the
Carlos,
safe side. If it continues, you might just want to look into any health issues with your doctors before you just assume it's the other side.
right. Uh, Carlos is so right. Self care because energy is draining. And I identify with you when we have too many readings because I have worked probably every day, for a decade of doing readings. And I remember waking up one day and in online came 29 that morning. And I was always doing that. And now I go, okay, I'm going to limit this. I'm going to put a big limit on it as to what I want to do so I could do other things because that's a lot. And then on top of it, we'd be down at the cemetery, we'd be at a haunted venue, or we'd be doing something. So we have to make sure that we're pacing ourselves and we're taking care of ourselves for sure. And Janine, do you, I know you remember this. So we made sure that we drank water, but we would eat salty things at the very end of our seances. Do you remember that?
Yes, we would.
I love potato chips. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's time, we're done. And that was to ground, to kind of get that in our body and kind of ground ourselves after we had, our seances were probably, I don't know, a couple hours. I don't know, our meetups. So we would ground ourselves, but it was a chance to have some chips. That was my thing. Oh yes, I need to ground myself. I need salt. Yes. Okay. Oh, let me look another thing here. And Kim says, great advice. And she has some wild brew. I love it. Smells, just get it, smell it, think chocolate, and you're going to go, yum. Sandy, super sensitive and can't watch violence or gruesome things. Everybody's different. I'm very Miss Spock, and that's why I've been very successful in doing homicides and missing persons, because I can see it. I can see the most gruesome things, how they died of past lives. They burned, they drowned, or whatever, and it doesn't bother me at all. I used to watch surgery. You know what I wanted to be in life? What do you call it? A parasitologist, where
Oh,
they take
yes.
parasites out and the long worms and stuff. And I would be eating for watching this 2 hour thing of the grossest stuff, just eating along where other people would have probably been barfing. So I always wanted to be a doctor and be a surgeon. And so I go, yeah, I could do that. I could see those things. So and a lot of times people are empaths. They also are very sensitive. What do you have to say about this, Janine?
So I'm very similar to you. I think I was pre-programmed at a young age because I started seeing ghosts at 18 months old, or spirits at 18 months old. And they would always kind of present how they died first and then move
Mm,
into like a happier point in their life. But I too, I grew up, I just have a switch that I can turn off when it comes to certain things. And we would watch
yeah,
open heart surgery and brain surgery while we had dinner. Like, it just doesn't
that's
bother me. I watch horror films and I laugh at the comedy. They don't frighten me. Um, just, I don't know. I actually thought I would be a forensic psychologist where did all that stuff with, like, murder scenes
yeah.
and all
I thought a medical examiner sounded well, and I go, oh wait a minute, I have to get all these degrees and stuff. I could be an assistant, but no, yeah, everybody's different, and so make sure that you protect yourself from that stuff, so you don't have any bad reactions. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
especially as an empath, you have to learn what's yours and what's not yours and kind of push other people's stuff to the side. I make a bubble of light to push other people's feelings away. Once I learned how to differentiate my feelings from other people's feelings, I had less problems, because it can definitely mess you up a little bit if you're taking on everybody's emotions and feelings. But definitely knowing what's mine, what's not has helped, because empaths tend to feel as she's feeling if they're unable to control what they're taking in.
Right. I'm glad I'm not that at all. I always say that because I can turn everything off. And then people come up and they'll want to know something, or they'll ask, well, surely you know what's going on over there, or this case, or that, or the other. And I go, no, I turn it off,
Yeah.
and I turn it on if I'm to look at it. If somebody asks me or whatever, it's just like homicides and missing persons. I wouldn't work with the police. I'm not going to work with anybody. I'm going to work with the family and search and rescue people that can do something about it. And so, but I feel like it's such a gift and such a blessing, and to be able to do this stuff. And again, we love working in all these different ways that we can to get the messages, and everybody's a little different. I don't use pendulum. I bought some. I give them away, and I go, like, I don't need it. So I just go, I'm not going to do this.
I know
Um,
sometimes my spirit guides won't even let me use certain devices. They're like, "Why are you doing this? You don't need this." But like honestly, I typically if I'm using a pendulum, it's just so the other people around me get a visual of what I'm taking in, so they can see the actual yes, they can see the actual no. It's not even for my own benefit.
oh, right, right. Sandy says she's been doing readings almost daily since 2019. Oh my goodness, take a break.
Yes,
And a third of them are mediumship. And Sandy, you need to be on our show. Just let Janine know.
let's
We'll
get you
have some
scheduled.
fun. Okay. Carlos loves pendulums. Carlos is very psychic and a good friend. Uh, let's see. Let's see. Protect your energy. Carlos says protect your energy.
One hundred
Kim
percent.
says, I remember to say, do not let the person's energy come onto you. Okay. Um,
That's very
yeah,
true because I'll always say you cannot go in my car, you cannot come on my body, you cannot,
yeah.
no coming with me, no matter how you're doing it.
I remember, telling everybody they can't. Now, what I do when we leave a place, you guys, is I have a tuning fork, hello, and a crystal. And so it's one of the things I would do is hit this and it'll go boing and vibrate. And I put that around everybody, or I spray a little holy water over the top of everybody. We might sage, depending on where we're at. We have to be careful when we are using matches and burning and starting fires. But kind of clear everybody. And I remember the next day somebody telling me, "Oh, so and so's daughter, yeah, she in spirit, she came home with me." And I said, "Oh my gosh, like what did I do wrong?" And she goes, "No, I invited her." And I said, "Well, okay, that's on you."
Well,
That's
that
on
and
you.
if somebody is with you that necessarily doesn't 100% believe in the power of what's being done, like with my sister in um, Pioneer Park, where that thing that was telling her that she was going to die and that she needed to leave. I don't think she really believed that she had the power to tell it no, and it did come home with her.
Oh,
So
oh,
I didn't bring anything with me because I definitely know that I have that power, but she
right,
was wavering on it, and something did
right.
attach to her.
Then you have to be with somebody that can put in something into place, make sure that they're protected and they don't take anything home. Erica, I'm going to get a hold of you. I've been trying to. I had a crazy week, but uh, we're gonna talk. You love your pendulums, but your team prefers you not to use them. Um, you know what? If you're working with a team, go with the flow. Oh, look what Carlos said. Debbie and Janine are very gifted as well. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Carlos.
Thank you. And thank God for all the validation we get. This is our path, Janine and I, to go forward and to help people. And ghosts are real. Ghosts are real. All
Yeah.
this stuff, we're very logical. Janine's very intelligent. I'm intelligent. We're logical. And all this, we go, yeah. How do things, give me the science, how something floats across my my house, and things like that. These are real, and we really need to. We want to legitimize all of this too. Tell you that it's real. Tell you our stories, and we're on a path of helping people because it's not just chasing ghosts and doing that. This is good because it gets people validation that this is real, but we're also helping people to cope with loss and people that are missing and things like that. So even though we do the ghost tours and all that, this big part of us is having a heart for everybody to help to give advice because I know I do corporate, I do a lot of people with businesses and I guide them, and but everything from heartache to people wanting to know anything. We know love and money is super important for everybody, but this is where we're at. That's why we're doing this podcast, right, Janine?
Exactly, just so people can see and know all the different things that are really truly out there, and how to deal with them, because some people don't want what we have. They don't want things
Oh
coming
my
to them.
gosh, I know. I
And some people
know.
who have gifts are scared because they don't know how to control them. Well, we've been doing this for so long that we like to be able to help people to know that there is a control switch. You do have the control. Could you imagine, as a medium, me going in and doing my regular job where I'm dealing with people on a regular basis, people that are like CEOs of companies that I'm dealing with, and
Hmm.
their grandmother's trying to talk to me. I put in a sign that if I pull my hair back in a ponytail, that Janine is off duty, because you have to have control and balance in your life. And the ghosts, they're all out there. There's many of them. So of course they're going to want to come to who can hear and see them, but there
Yep.
has to be a limit.
But there's this thing that I've seen a lot of, that people are gifted when they're young and then they push it away. They don't want it and they push it away. And then they come explore it, you know, when they're retirement age or something later on. For me, my family saw ghosts, and for me, it was power and it was energy. I always knew what was going to happen, always, all my life, very strong when I was real little. But I could feel that a solid energy field around me. I go, ink, ink. And I go, well, doesn't everybody have one? And I was lucky and all this stuff. But it wasn't like with you, which you could see the ghost when you were 18 months old. So things work out differently. And that it wasn't, I kind of just went with life until I had the near death experience. And there it all came in. And that's when I took an early retirement to find out what this man said to me came true. Who is he? And that's where I ended up today. Oh, look at Chris says, Kim, I love Pioneer Park and Alpine Cemetery. Alpine Cemetery is so scary. But to me, the park that gets me the most is that Pioneer Park.
Oh yeah. The place
That
is
is
so active, it's
crazy.
ridiculous.
It
We
is
are actually going
crazy.
to be setting up some meetups over the coming weeks, and Pioneer Park and Alpine are on the list. So if you guys are in the San Diego area, check out Debbie's meetup group, because we're going to have those listed coming in the next couple days.
Yeah, Psychic Fixes on meetup.com. And you can see what's going on and our shows that are like done on StreamYard here, broadcasted. They're on them as well. We're going to be having somebody new, Janine. This is a great introduction to Maddie Tarot. So, Maddie Tarot is a wonderful young man with such great abilities. And he's going to be on, I think this week, we're going to kind of do a little trial thing, but they're going to be shows that are just
Exciting.
readings. And so he does pendulum, and he loves doing that. He does everything though. But come on that show with your yes no questions, and you'll get that. But I will be doing my tarot readings as well. So we have a lot of fun things coming on Psychic Fixes. I'm excited about. I'm going to talk to a couple more people and hope that we are doing some shows. Oh my goodness, look at all the variety of people that we got this time, Janine.
I love it. The energy tonight is really, really good. Yeah, if you guys have not already followed SC Spooky Adventures on YouTube, definitely check that out as well. We're doing multiple podcasts. So we have me and Debbie on Sundays, myself and Michelle will be posting stuff on Wednesdays or Thursdays. And then I just started a new one with my coworker Brandy, called Two Girls Ghost Hunting.
I
So
watched it. Very good. I had Psychic Fixes subscribe to it.
appreciate that so
Thumbs up
much.
and comment. And a lot of times I'm going to tell you guys like why I'm having Maddie Tarot on, and why we asked to subscribe to Janine's YouTube is that we really need to have 1,000 subscribers. So if you guys get a chance, SD Spooky Adventures, subscribe, and Maddie Tarot, subscribe, Mattytarot. And that would be really great. That grows the good stuff and the fun stuff. What you see in Janine right now is a very talented, a very real medium. And so, and I've always told Janine that she's the best ghost tour person in the world, and it's because of her talent and her experience. So let's, raise her up by subscribing to her YouTube channel, SD Spooky Adventures. We're going to be here on Sunday, right?
Yep, we'll be here this coming Sunday, and like Debbie said earlier, there's many of you out there that have your own experiences, your own gifts. We definitely want to interview you on one of our episodes and have you come live with us.
It'd be great. I know Maddie Tarot is going to be on with us at one point. It might be that next Sunday. We will see. And just kind of talk about, he's got ghost stories. So he's going to come on this podcast with his incredible ghost stories. So I can't wait. But it is probably time, Janine, for us to go.
It is. Thank you all for joining us again this Sunday. We always love to have you guys on and hear the questions that you have. Definitely check out Debbie's Psychic Fixes YouTube as well as SD Spooky Adventures. And we will see you next Sunday.
I've got to say thank you, Kim. Erica, I'll be talking to you. Hi, Tina. Okay, you guys, it was so fun. And we're going to say goodbye for now. Take care. Happy holidays. Bye bye.